This video is from my series that walks you through how to build a career in film and television production. Okay, this is mindset. In my opinion, doing a vision board, visualizing, putting shit down by itself is total nonsense. It's a helpful device to visualize, to put a picture in your head of something that you want so that when you're going out to try to get it, you can see it. It's a great technique. But just doing a vision board and nothing else is tantamount to basically trying to lose weight and continuing to eat the way you have since the beginning of time. It won't move your career forward and it won't advance your goals. Your success in this business will come from networking, hard work, and determination. That's it. It's not going to come from creating a board, and it's not going to come from outside. It's going to come from you networking and you connecting with people on a daily basis. That's the job. But we can't discount the mental part of this game. And that's what a vision board represents, is the mental part of the game. I'm not suggesting you do it. You can if you'd like. There's lots of places you can go to get that information. I'm not that guy. But if it helps you, do it by all means. What I'm going to focus on here is the entrepreneurial part of this business. Remember, entertainment and working in it is essentially an entrepreneurial effort for everybody in it. Yes, you'll work for big corporations, you'll work for big moneyed interests, but the reality is you need to run your career like it's your own small business. You'll get paid like an employee and all the rest of it. However, you need to operate as if you're the last stop in your business, and ultimately the success or failure of that business is solely your responsibility, no one else. Being an entrepreneur is essentially what we're doing. So here's a few techniques that I use and a few ideas to try to get the mental part of the game put in a place where I can understand it, I can manage it, and I can keep it straight. So there's a entire body of work for neuro-linguistic programming, which has kind of been absconded by, it's kind of been misused by some pretty sleazy dudes. There's a few books out there that I think are pretty shitty. But one of the things I think is interesting about the research that's been done is the frame. The idea of framing a conversation and framing what you are and who you are in the business. And the concept is when two frames come together, the stronger of the two frames takes over. So when you're having a conversation with your prospective employer or your informational interview or anyone who can guide you to a job, you have to be clear about, and this is the framing part, you have to be clear about and you have to frame the conversation about what job you're doing, where are you headed, and the fact that you're doing a particular job should not be a limiting belief that puts you in a box where you currently are. I use a technique for the framing that I call IMA. It's the mantra you use to get the frame in your head every single day. This is what I am. This is what I'm doing. This is my goal. The reason we do that is you have to set the frame or the other side will set it for you. You want to make sure that your conversations are purposeful, and the purpose of the IMA statement is that we want to frame the person's understanding of you before they frame you in their own head. So your frame begins with IMA, and insert your statement here. And then you're also going to set out in your understanding of the industry and where you're going to choose to connect. You're only going to work with producers who have money, who have distribution. A lack of money, that is a visible indication that you need to walk. If a producer is not offering a customary wage, it's probably not an appropriate project for you to work on, unless you're building credits. And the same thing is true of internships and free work. We do it to build credits. We don't do it for very long unless you're a true owner. And that means actual control of the entity that owns that intellectual property you're ultimately going to create. So in other words, if you're a writer, director, producer, or actor, if you're one of those participants, you're not just someone who's at the whim of net income. And we'll talk about net income at a later date, or net participation at a later date. essentially know that net definition is total bullshit. So in order to have meaning and work for ownership, in other words, you're working for a reduced rate or for free because you're going to be an owner, it needs to be true ownership. And that has a particular definition, and it has a way of understanding and a way of structuring that is part of the statute and that is part of the corporate structure in every state in the US. And lastly, you're in control of what you do. You're in control of what projects you decide to participate in, either for free or for pay, and you're in control ultimately of whether or not you're going to take the rate that's being offered. You get to decide, no one else. Why do I say that? Because if you decide to take a project at a particular rate, and then 3 weeks on, you're pissed off because you're not making your rate and you're upset and you took a haircut because you're trying to do someone a favor, put that voice away. Shut up, do the work you agreed to do, get through the project. Nothing's permanent. Every show has an end date. Get through it, move on to the next thing, make more the next time. Your goal in this program is to get through the course developing an understanding of the industry, a strategic direction, your strategic direction, and have a clear goal in mind, what we will call your dream job. That's your frame. You're framing your current position, your goal job, and how you're going to participate in it. The next part of mindset is understanding that 80% of this game is in your head games, mind games, whatever you want to call them, and 20% is strategy and mechanics. So how do we get through the fact that only 20% of it is strategy and mechanics and 80% is mind games and playing in your head or getting out of your head? We do it by using some techniques. Okay, so if the game is 20% strategy and mechanics and 80% head games or mind games, how do we control it? How do we stay in the game and stay engaged? We do it by destroying the freakout, having a movie mindset, protecting your dream, claiming your power, and being resourceful. That's the recipe that I use to stay engaged and stay in the game. First, destroy the freakout. In destroy the freakout, there's 5 elements. You have to take intelligent action, keep a brag or gratitude journal if you need to, spend 5% on the problem, 95% on the solution, evaluate the meaning of everything that goes on inside your head, and obsess about your dream all the time. So take intelligent action. What does that mean? Get informed, know the industry, know the people in it, and create a map. That's part of the exercise that we've been working on about understanding your admired shows, the people who work in it, the production companies that make it, and the principals that were responsible for bringing it to fruition, and the people that have been employed on those shows so you can make connection with them. If you want to keep a brag book or a gratitude journal, do it 3 minutes a day. What are you proud of? What did you win yesterday? How did you move your career forward yesterday? And what have you done right? Do it every day. Do it 3 minutes. Do it every other day. It's not my thing, but I know people who do it, and it's really beneficial to them, and it helps them destroy the freakout. Next, spend 5% on the problem and 95% on the solution. The problem most people have at entry level or leveling up is they just don't have access. Are you going to spend 95% of your time worrying about the fact that you don't have access? Or are you just going to say, fuck, I don't have access, who cares, and try to find a solution? The solution to this problem, to not having access, is creating access for yourself. You create access by networking. You network by knowing who the players are and knowing intelligently what they've worked on and whether or not those people are working in your goal vertical. That's part of it. So the solution for us is the network map and connecting with your network and then adding to your network as time goes on by connecting with executives or connecting with mid-level people so that you can get a referral from those people for the 1 or 2 or 3 people out from there. So you can build your network in a lattice that's more like a spider web, wide and very big. Next, I evaluate the meaning of everything, whether it's the emotion of fear, challenge, frustration, overwhelm, despair, suffering, any of it. Give them all meaning. Understand. For me, I'm going to give you my examples of how I deal with these emotions: fear, frustration, challenge, and then when I encounter the Hollywood douchebag. Number 1, fear. When I'm afraid of something, my antenna instantly go up and say, hey, mother, you got to pay attention to this. This isn't something you can ignore. So I might have something on my list. Well, let me take a step back. I make a list every day of all the stuff I need to get done to get through the day to make sure that my clients or my work gets done that needs to be delivered with a deadline. If for some reason something on that list gets pushed into tomorrow, that means I'm probably having some kind of fear, challenge, or frustration associated with that item. So the first thing I do is I put it at the top of my list the next day. It might fall off and go on to the third day. If it goes to third or fourth day, that's it. It's game over. I will either figure out why I'm afraid of doing that thing, or I will figure out what the frustration is. And if it is frustration, I'll figure out how I can do it better. If it is fear, I just got to dive in and do it. There's just no two ways around it. And if I'm having a challenge, I go get some more education, or I find an expert who can help me out with that problem. And the last one, the Hollywood douchebag. As soon as I meet someone that sets my hackles up, I call them the Hollywood douchebag, but whatever you want to call it, pick your thing. My instinct in the past and when I was much younger was to basically push those people away and say, fuck them, they're not my jam, moving on, next. Well, the truth is, I've realized that I could probably learn something from those people. I don't have to like them. I don't have to like the way they do business, the way they work, whatever. But in almost every single one of those instances, I can think back to in the past 20 or 30 years, almost every single time I encountered that kind of a reaction to someone, it's somebody who I learned something very important from in the process of me doing this job. So don't discount it. You don't have to hang out with them. You don't have to be a sycophant. You don't have to be a suck up. But for me, it just sets off the antenna and I go, oh, I'm supposed to learn something here. There's something I can get from this situation. You don't have to do the same thing, but all I'm using is examples of where they worked for me and where I've noticed a pattern. The point is, evaluate and elevate meaning to everything, especially those things that trigger you the most. And finally, obsess about your dream. Go back to your 3 questions, your path, your vertical, your dream job, your I am a ... documents, and go over them until they are a part of your being. Visualize them, make them yours, and do it every day until you can see that thing that you're striving for. That's what we're after. Get the picture in your head. So the movie mindset, what is it? It's essentially 5 steps. Your mindset is the beliefs that you're going to allow to grow in your mind. What beliefs will get you to your goal? What beliefs should you have? And then conditioning your mind, and then do it over and over and over again. So first, your mindset is the belief that you're going to allow to grow in your mind. What does that mean? I'm talking about the weeds, the voices, the devil and the angel. Your job, what we're striving for, is to starve the devil and feed the angel. The devil is that little voice telling you, you can't do it. You'll never be able to get there. Put it away. It doesn't have a place. Live in the power of positive thinking. And then in that conversation of putting it away, you have 3 types of beliefs that you can put into 3 categories: empowering beliefs, disempowering beliefs, and disempowering beliefs that are also true. Empowering beliefs, that's easy. I'm the guy with the most obvious idea in the room. That's okay. For me, that's empowering. I figured it out at a young age. I was 28, 29. I'm not a creative. I'm an operator. I work in logistics. I make shit happen. I move people and materials and money from one place to another so that movies can get made. I'm a logistics guy. That's my empowering belief. Did I think in my mid-20s that it was possible for me to become the head of production for an independent production company, working under a large studio banner, making feature film and television? Yes, that was my empowering belief. I believed it, and I got to it by the time I was 30. That's the empowering belief. That's the angel. Find them, feed them, hang on to them. Disempowering beliefs are, in my example, I'm not creative because I'm an operator. I work in logistics. That's a disempowering belief. It's also bullshit. I can think of 100 different creative ways where the creative team came to me and said, I need to have an extra day of shooting. I need to have this particular set. I got to shoot this location. I need this camera. I need this crane. I need this CG. I need the special effects. I need. Every single time that I had to answer that I need question from the creative soup, I had to find a creative way of pulling money out of a budget from somewhere else so that I could feed the thing that made sense for the creatives and that made sense to push the movie forward. It was better for the project than for me to save money or squirrel money away for some other line item in a budget, in another department, in another phase of production. That's a disempowering belief that I'm not creative because I'm an operator and I work in logistics. I have been absolutely creative in doing my job. I'm not the guy putting creative shit up on the screen. That's someone else's thing. It's not my thing. I'm not good at it, but that's okay. I'm more than happy to be the operator and the logistics guy. Then there's disempowering beliefs that are also true. So the disempowering beliefs that are also true for me goes back to my empowering belief. I'm just not the guy who has the original tip of the spear, David Fincher kind of ideas. I don't bring them forward with the creative. It's just not what I do. That is true. Knowing that I'm that person, I don't need to be in the creative soup and pushing my creative ideas forward because there's people who are better at it than me. That is also a true statement. What I can do is I can surround myself with people who are extremely creative, but I'm just not trained that way. So I find the people who are, I empower them, and I pay them well. So the truth only occurs when you feed it. When you give beliefs reference and energy, they survive. I hear it all the time. Yeah, Tim, but people discriminate. Okay, so what? No shit, people discriminate. But what are you going to do about it? Are you going to pull off an Oprah Winfrey, or are you going to be a bitch to effect? Are your beliefs in line with your goals? When I was 25, the belief that I could be a production executive for an independent producer making feature films and television by the age of 30, did I believe it? Yes. Did I make it come true? Yes. Was it all me? No. It was part luck. It was part my hard work. And it was also part just being the right place at the right time, recognizing an opportunity and taking it. The only truth is, what do you want? Again, going back to when I was 25, I'm getting repetitive. I'm sorry. I wanted, when I was 25, to be the head of physical production for an independent production company making feature film and dramatic television by the age of 30. That's only truth at that point that mattered. What do I want? And that was my empowering belief. Number two, what beliefs will get you to your goal? You're either the master of cause or a bitch to effect. Your choice. Are you the person moving your career forward, or will you just lie down and let the industry drive all over you? Align your beliefs with your goal. You will cause your goal to be achieved. You, and primarily you and a little bit of luck, will cause your goal to be achieved. There is a lot of luck in there, but you have to put yourself out there and you have to reach out and catch that luck. If you're not in the right place at the right time to catch an opportunity, to recognize it, reach up and grab it, you will not move your career forward. Number three, what beliefs should you have? Where in the past have they come from? And you have to ask yourself, will those beliefs stop me? Will they prevent me from achieving my goal? I grew up in a house where 30-year-olds were not expected to run tens of millions of dollars of business. Did I let that reference become truth? No. You have to ask yourself, what belief do I have about my past that will keep me from moving forward or will keep me from achieving my goal? Those beliefs that you grow up in may be true, they may not be true, but you have to decide whether or not you're going to let them hold you back. Are you going to make them empowering beliefs? Are you going to let them be a disempowering belief? Or are you going to realize that it's a disempowering belief that's also true and figure out a way to work around it or work with it? Number four, you have to condition your beliefs. And you do that by connecting with your dream. You reconnect constantly with your dream. Who I am, what I am, the vertical I am, my goal is, what's the industry, refine it, visualize it, say it. Do it daily. Doing it once is like going to the gym once and then bailing. Read the I am a ... statement every day until you can own it and can recite it without a hitch, without looking at it, without seeing it. And last, number 5, do it more. Double down. Do this stuff over and over and over. Make sure you're constantly setting your beliefs into a space where they're empowering or disempowering, but also true, and finding out a way to work around that true belief. So in summary, what you believe about your goal, your I am statement, is what will come to fruition. If you don't believe it, you will get stuck. If there's any doubt in your statement, refine it until you own it and repeat it every day. If that doubt persists, you might look at a success coach, a shrink, a business coach, whatever is going to get you into that space where you can truly own and be your I am statement. Seeking outside help is not failure. Tiger Woods, one of the greatest golfers in history, wasn't able to push his career past where he had reached a pinnacle and then regressed a little bit. He wasn't able to push past that pinnacle or get back to that pinnacle until he got a coach. There's no failure in hiring, using, and relying on a coach to help move your career forward. That's why you're here. Next, protecting your dream. Remember, it's your dream and yours to protect. Be careful who you listen to. When someone says you can't do that, they're projecting their own fear on you. The issue is whether you will believe it or not. What do you do when someone tells you you can't do something? Take a look at it. Is it an empowering belief? Likely not. Is it a disempowering belief? Probably. Is it a disempowering belief that's also true? If it's number 1 or number 3, you can work with those. That's possible. The disempowering belief, you just have to put it away, ignore the person's advice that you're talking to, and just empathize with them and just care about them. Understand that what they're projecting on you is their fear, not your lack of ability to achieve your dream. They're just projecting. You smile, you say thank you, I really appreciate your thoughts, and you move on. You don't need to argue, you don't need to fight, you're not going to convince them of anything. You're just going to take the data in. Sometimes there's a disempowering belief that is also true. Sometimes that person has been in the industry for so long, they understand why what you want to do or what your dream is at the moment is not available. Those are very few and far between, but they are possible. They do exist. You just have to figure out whether or not it's a real truism or is it just fear being projected on you. Remember, you stepping into your dream is a threat to the person who gave up on theirs. Don't let the bastards drag you down. When you step out of the pack, the sheep, and I mean the sheep, will go apeshit. If you're not doing what everybody else does, you're thinking outside of the box. You're being creative. The pack, the sheep, will freak out. They won't know what to do with you. They won't know how to deal with it. But that's okay. That says you're doing something. You've actually figured out how to tap into that stream of creativity and that stream of hard work. When I'm talking about tapping into that stream of creative, I'm not talking about finding a fire and pouring gas on it. I'm talking about creating something from scratch, something positive, something loving, something caring, something empathetic. If you're the person who creates attention by blowing shit up, you're probably going to be the person who flames out fast that everyone wants to try to knock off the top, if in fact you make it to the top. Next, claiming your power. How do you show up in the industry? I often hear people saying, I'm going to use actors as an example because it's the easiest, it's the one I hear the most. I'm an actor, right? No, I'm an actor working in dramatic television. Once you connect with your IMA statement, claiming your power will come second nature. You will say, using the same example, I'm an actor. And for actors, auditioning is the job. You're working as an actor. So just because you're not getting feature roles on really big shows doesn't mean you're not an actor. Auditioning is the job. You need to own it. And the same is true of writers, producers, and directors. Why did you enroll in this program? You saw something that you wanted to expand on. You were ambitious and want to excel in Hollywood. There's nothing wrong with that. That's claiming and owning your power. We all have a lot of people who who tell us that we shouldn't do something. It's not safe. I don't like the California lifestyle. We've been in farming for generations. We're New Yorkers. We're educators. Take a government job. It's stable. Listen to your beliefs, not others' limiting beliefs. Don't ignore the limiting beliefs that are also true, but ignore other people's limiting beliefs. What are your expectations? Rainbows and unicorns? Not going to happen. Or do you realize that the industry is competitive, that you will work hard and you will fight hard every day to hold your chunk of dirt in the industry? You're not a victim. You might have been beaten, abused, mugged, robbed, picked on in school, told you're not good enough. That ends today. You can no longer rely on those excuses for why you don't get to have what you want. The people in entertainment come from all walks of life. Keep in mind, if any of these things are your story and you can't find forgiveness, not excuses, you need to get into a counselor to help you work through the issues. No one needs to know. It's up to you. I'm not saying any of those things didn't happen to you. I'm not saying they don't deserve to be called out. It doesn't make it right what they did to you, but don't play the victim to those people. Don't give them that kind of power. The moment you realize that they didn't break you, you have all the power, and you realize they made you stronger. No victims, and seek help if you need it. Resourcefulness. Being resourceful is a muscle. Having the ability to find quick, clever, and creative ways to overcome difficulties is a skill. There are basically two ways to get an outcome. You can power through with grit and determination, or you can find creative ways. Powering through is mostly viewed as masculine, knock down the door. Creative ways, thinking outside of the box, is mostly feminine, find a way to work. We all have both. Society has trained us to put us into two boxes, masculine or feminine, right brain, left brain, analytical, emotional, creative or logical. All of these comparisons send my bullshit meter straight to red. We're all both a combination of all of those things. We all develop one more than the other, but we have and can tap into both. I don't have it excuses. Excuses don't matter. It's always a matter of what you can achieve. I'm broke. That's just a fact at the moment. It's not going to last forever. It might just be a temporary thing. Turn off the voice. I'm African American. So fucking what? If that were a limiting factor, then Oprah Winfrey, Russell Simmons, Famous Amos, and the list goes on. Dozens of athletes. Jordan is 6'7". They are all successful and rich. Oprah is a fucking billionaire. She did it for herself. I'm broke. So fucking what? How many entrepreneurs and immigrants built huge businesses with $10 in their pockets? The voice is a waste of fucking time. I know it's difficult, but you have to tell the voice, thank you for participating, but you're wrong. Or more simply, thank you very much, fuck you very much, and you move on. If you're not resourceful, someone else will be. Don't let them get it and not you. Resourcefulness. There is always a way when I'm committed. It doesn't mean it'll be easy. You might have to be humble, you might have to grow, and you might need a coach. Resourcefulness is something you and only you control, and you have to control it. Listen to what is coming at you. Like I said above, frustration. How do I do this different or better? That's the trigger for me. If I'm frustrated, the question I always ask myself is, how can I do this different or better? Are you committed to paying the price this business puts in front of you to have the career you want? It is a competitive and crazy business. A lot of people want it. You will work long hours, get paid crap, work overtime, and not get compensated. Get over it or stay an assistant. It's up to you. Be resourceful or don't. It's your choice. Resourcefulness wins in Hollywood. So the mental part of the game. The mental part of the game is very tough, and you have to stay in it all the time. The way I do it is a get to or have to conversation. I approach it from, do I get to do something or do I have to do something? Do I get to do laundry or do I have to do laundry? Do I get to do the month-end reporting or do I have to do the month-end reporting? For me, it's all a get to, not a have to. It's in how you frame it. Remember, the mental part of the game, you wear, whether you know it or not, your attitude on your sleeve all the time. Don't think you're fooling anyone who is smart and adept at reading people. And honestly, that's most executives over the age of 40 and who've been doing it in a particular industry for a good long time, who've gotten into a senior role. They can spot it from 100 miles away. Don't think you're fooling them. And just know Hollywood is difficult. Why is that? It's competitive, it's political, it's opaque, and the rejection comes every day, all the time. You're constantly being told no by some creative element, by a suit, by an executive, by a line producer, by the money because there's not enough, all different kinds of reasons. You're constantly told no. Just deal with it. Understand that that is the business you're in. Being competitive, political, opaque, and daily rejection, it is what it is. And those who don't learn how to navigate it, they just simply don't succeed. They get eaten alive by the industry. Like a cop who sees the bottom of the human barrel every day and builds a skewed profile of who, what, and how people behave, assuming everyone's a criminal, we start to build a profile about ourselves. The profile, if you let it, will become rejection. How do we help clients overcome rejection? The simplest example I can give you is to think about Tinder. When you swipe right, swipe right, swipe right, and no response from a perfect stranger, do you care or do you move on to the one who responded? Most people move on to the one they responded and ignore the one that didn't. Do you like no? Of course not. No one does. But we can push back on rejection by resetting to square one each time. A great sales rep I worked with in my early 20s once said to me, he wanted me to come work for him. He wanted me to be a sales rep for a magazine, and I had no interest in any of that. But he once said to me at lunch that it's not how you deal with rejection, it's how you present at the next call after that rejection. You have to start from square one, like your last call was a yes and you just closed the biggest deal you've ever had in your career. That's what distinguishes you from just the average sheep who are in the cog, making a living and barely doing it and working really hard. How do we build techniques for keeping the rejection out and letting in only strength and success? Go back to the first two answers in your top line questions. Use it as a reminder of why. That exercise is not a mistake. We do it on purpose. Number one, to get you started in the program and get you focused on why you're here and what you're doing and what your purpose is so that you can be focused and purposeful in the work we do here. And second, as a document that you can go back to and repeatedly remind yourself of why you came to this business and what your purpose and what your focus is. As you go into your meeting or get into your call, you write it down. You might say, I have loved entertainment since the day I saw ... Insert movie here. It doesn't matter what it is, but what's the thing that motivated you and inspired you to come work in this business? Write it down. Always remember it. Your IMA mantra, post it on a mirror so you see it and read it when you brush your teeth every single day. The internet and email are great ways to hear no and not take it personally. You don't actually have to be on the other end of a phone call to have someone say no. You blast out to someone in a DM or an email and you don't get a response, you move on. I don't fixate on an individual person I'm trying to connect to. We give you a list of 20 or 30 people in your research of how the industry is organized so that you have options. So you're not just putting all your eggs in one basket by connecting this one person who happens to work at whatever studio on whatever movie and for whatever executive. The reality is we want to build a network and that spider webs out and creates as wide an audience of people we can talk to as possible. Dealing with the rejection, this is a numbers game. For every no you get, you're one step closer to a yes. Don't forget it. And finally, everyone starts on someone's desk as a gopher. Most of the people that we will be contacting, that you will be contacting, were once in your shoes, looking for a way in and looking for a contact. They figured it out, and now they're in a successful job. They understand the difficulty of making a connection in this industry. And if you can present yourself as being engaged, smart, having done your research, and interested in entertainment, they will reach out to you. They will connect with you. They're looking for young people to pull up and help them out to connect into the industry, just like someone did for them. This is where you will learn the landscape in your vertical and where you will build a network. There are some shortcuts. They're very uncommon. The vast majority of people start as an assistant, they start as a PA, they start working on low level directing, writing, acting assignments in whatever vertical that they're targeting. You start small and you grow to the next job, and then you grow to the next job, and then the next job, and it gets bigger and wider each time you move up. If it does not, you need to look around yourself and say, how can I widen this out and get into bigger stuff? That just means you need to expand your network and get into a different group of people who can help widen or expand the work you're currently doing or the work you want to get onto.